A Viewer's Life Changed by Magic, Part 1, Audio Story Version. Here we go, folks. I'm sorry I couldn't make the whole thing visually, so instead I retorted to making it an audio story, so that way, well, I still get the story around to you all. And plus, it was a fairly good idea on my behalf. So this is just part 1, part 2 will be coming out later. You can compile these videos together to get the full story by then. Just so you are aware. And one more disclaimer before we begin, I will also be playing the role of the master on behalf of you all. So, good luck with that. Anyway, let's begin. After a long day at the jeweler's, you finally sit back down on your sofa at home and ponder at the pendant that you bought that day. You looked at it, but you was a bit confused, wondering why it was so cheap to buy. Why was this pendant so cheap? Well, then again, it was cosmetically flawed, so I do have to give them credit. You look at the pendant more closely and notice the emerald gemstone on the pendant was a bit rough around the edges. You notice a couple bits of grime on it and therefore decided to rub it to take it off. Huh, looks like the emerald's a little grimy, so I'll just rub it off and see what happens then. As you rub it, it squeaks a little bit, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, it begins to violently shake, and the emerald begins to glow. This takes you aback, and you get scared. What's happening? The shaking got so intense, you accidentally drop the pendant and it plummets to the floor. You panicked, thinking the emerald was shattered. But when you opened your eyes, instead, all you could see was a green light. When that light faded, there was a figure in front of you. You were so stunned, you couldn't even speak. The figure looked like a pirate? Yeah, no kidding. An actual pirate. He mainly wore what looked more like a brown attire, but with a green undertop. Not to mention he did also have the hat and eye patch to prove he was a pirate as well. But strangely, he had no lower half to speak of. Instead, all you could see was smoke. It looked like that, but it was a brown colour to match the colour of his jacket. You also noticed he had one hand, or possibly a hand, over his neck. Upon further inspection, it turned out to be a hook. You shake off the feeling that it might have been amputated. All of a sudden, the figure winces and moans in pain.
Well, laid down. Lay down, Sophia, sing it down. Ouse.
His voice even matched his look. Finally gaining the courage to speak a little bit, you can barely speak at the moment, but you could manage to get something out of your mouth. What? The figure notices you as you were saying this, and his olive green eyes dart at your look. And he looks at you a little shook for a moment.
Oh, excuse me, lady. I've been sitting there for quite a while, you see. And I gotta admit, having a crack your neck is not nice.
You could even hear he was in pain, the poor fellow. He grabbed hold of his head and, to your utter shock, disgust and horror, he actually took his head off his body, spun it around, and then yanked it back onto his head. The whole thing made you want to puke.
Obi-Wan, wow, that feels a lot better.
The figure leans back in relief. He then finally stands rigid and brushes himself off from what on earth he just did. He then looked at you very apologetically.
Sorry about that, matey.
You still look at him, very much shook, and you had to ask, Who are you?
Hey? Me?
You nod. The figure shakes off his shocked look and gives you a kind smile.
Well, my name's Wesley Island, but you can just call me M.I. Short and sweet, you know?
You look at him, confused. Mystery Island? Was that actually his name? You had to ask about it. You was that confused. Am I? How did you end up with such a weird name? To such a question, he blushes, almost as if he looked embarrassed.
If there was, Joey, what's to say I just had that name and move on, please?
All right, fine. You could tell he was very much desperate, so you let him go through with his word.
Oh, thank you.
He sighs with relief, and the blush fades away. You then look at him more closely, while not daring to step a foot closer towards M.I. You then ask him about his appearance. From the looks of you, I can clearly tell you're a pirate.
That be me, matey.
He winks at you. But I also notice you look like a ghost as well. Are you a ghost?
Welly, do I actually look like one to you?
He then looks at himself, trying to figure out why you asked such a thing. He then has a slight look of surprise as he finally understands.
Okay, I think I can see where you be coming from. But to be completely honest with you, I'm not a ghost at all. I mean, what do you think I am? A white dustman?
Well, if you're not a ghost, then what are you?
Well, if you really want to know, I'm what you call a ziti.
You look at him, shook. You couldn't believe what on earth he just said. Wait, a genie? Like from Aladdin?
Aye, and that means I have some magic powers up my sleeves.
He floats up to you and makes a small green orb of light in his hand, proving his magical status. He then backs up away from you. Wait, so does that mean you can grant wishes and stuff?
However, I have to warn you, we can only grant 3 wishes to one person like yourself.
You looked at him a bit confused, because he said we, not I. Wait a minute. We? He then looked at you a little surprised, but the surprise didn't seem to be at you. It seemed to be at himself.
Oh, dang, just me, you know. There'll be me quilmates too.
I was thinking that actually. Not to mention, I was literally so confused about the weirdish color palette.
Oh, were ye?
Yeah.
Well, each color one possessed me and me quilmates, and the green one possessed me.
I can see that. But now that makes me ask, how did you end up here? I mean, I just saw a green flash Harry Potter style, and then the next second, you were in front of me.
Well, this might sound weird, but you must want the animal to a whisper in particular.
He then notices the pendant on the floor, which you had dropped earlier. Using his telekinetic powers, he manages to pick up the pendant and put it into his hand.
Speaking of West, I think he's lost something.
He tosses it to you, but in a gentle manner. You catch it in your hands. Thank you. So, in theory, if Robin the Emerald brought you here, then Robin the other gemstone should bring your crewmates here, right?
Aye, hopefully.
Well, let's give it a go then. To test your theory out, you rub the amethyst. Just like with the emerald, it begins to shake and glow. This one, though, was on the amethyst, not the emerald. Now?
Well, here we go.
Suddenly, there was a flash of purple light that caused you to cover your eyes because it was that deafeningly bright. When you opened your eyes, all you could see was purple for a moment, before another flash happened, And when you know it, there was another spectral figure now there. During this flash of light, you could hear his voice coming through. This boy was definitely younger than am I, and that was definitely shown. His hair was almost jet black, and he mainly wore purple attire. He also wore a belt that had a crescent and 2 stars on it, also purple in colour. And he had the same kind of smirk pattern with his lower half.
Woo! Does it feel good to be out of there?
The young boy laughs with glee. Amai looks at him with a big smile on his face, almost as if he knows him. Which is more than likely so, considering he is one of his crewmates. Just at that moment, Amai then laughs with glee and smiles at this new young figure.
Ha 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 ha! About time we see each other again, Ayo.
Wait, am I?
The word out, matey.
Amai seems to wink at AL, just like how he winked with you. Suddenly, AL notices you, and he looks at you intrigued.
Oh, new master, huh?
Suddenly, in a puff of green smoke, Amai disappears. Where did he go to? Then suddenly he reappears in the same puff of smoke right next to AL, almost as if he's leaning against him.
Don't you worry, lad. I told him everything.
Well, that saves me a job.
Amai floats back to where he was previously. So, you're AL?
That's me! Astroland, to give you my full name.
You get so distraught upon hearing AL's full name, you just snap out loud. What is it with you guys and these weird names?
No comment.
Snap.
Everybody's silent for a moment. Then suddenly, Amai clears his throat.
Anyway, since the topic, before I must grade your wishes, we must first study the rules.
Wait a minute. Rules?
Yeah, there are a few things we can't do.
Okay, and how many rules are there?
Thankfully, there'll be only 4 of them.
Okay, what are they then? The two simultaneously then go listing the rules one by one.
Rule 1. We can't do murder. It's gross and it's illegal to boot.
Rule 2. We cannot do anything related to love. That one comes necessarily.
Number 3. No necromancy.
It'd be a horror website, not just for us, but possibly for you as well. And lastly, Rule 4. We can't give you more wishes than you already have. And I'm gonna weigh you what loopholes won't work either. Nice try, Swab.
So,
So, do you want anything?
well, I don't know. What can I wish for?
Anything.
This doesn't work. But if you wait, you can wish for anything and everything. Like wishes, power, fame, or even mental parts of your own. All you have to do is say, I wish, or you say, will be done.
He slightly bows at you. You slightly go into thought at the same time. Well, I know for a fact I need a higher salary. Ale smirks at what you say, and he targets it towards MI.
Well, that was quick, wasn't it?
Suddenly, MI gets really angry, and his scalana, the white stuff in your eyes, turns a blood red color, and he shouts at Ayel as a result.
Hey yo, please!
You look at him, shook. MI then calms down moments later, and his scalana turns back to normal. He then looks at you.
Anyways, Winnie, as you were saying.
I wish I had a higher salary. As in, I wish I had wealth. The two look at you, surprised. That quickly fades away, and AL shows eagerness, while MI shows determination.
Well, about time you made a list.
Do it, am I? Do it!
I'm good today, yo. Cease.
MI clears his throat. Under his sleeves, you can see a bright glow. He seemed to be wearing the same shackles that AL was wearing. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Sorry, folks. Anywho, when MI speaks now, his voice is reverbed, so he has a sort of godlike sound to his voice.
By the power of the land and sea, guided by the hand, your west be my command.
MI snaps his fingers and a bright white light covers your vision. When it fades, your living room is now literally chock full of money. You look at him stunned. Wait a minute. You can do all that?
Aye, what can I say? Weather's obvious faulty.
Well, that's obvious. I'm already getting tired. I'm gonna go rest up. If you need me at all, just rub the amethyst again. See ya!
Hey, yo, yourself up.
MI tries to catch AL, but it's too late. He disappears in a purple puff of smoke back into the amethyst. MI then calms down and looks at you.
Excuse me, matey. Do you have anything on my way now?
Not really, to be honest. Especially since I gotta find a way to put all this money away.
Well, that's fine. I shall lead to your thoughts. You need me again, just do the same thing AL said, but with the emerald instead. Until then, though, smooth sailing.
He wears at you in almost like a salute form before he too disappears in a puff of green smoke back into the emerald. You are now left with yourself and your own thoughts. Now just gotta find out where to put all this money away. And that's the end of part 1. Part 2 will be coming out later on. I can't guarantee when, but I think it will be sometime next month. With enough luck, it will be sometime next month or November, depending on school and college and what they say, so to speak. But this is what you're getting for now. Until the second part comes out, I'll see you guys then.